Hey guys, I'm back here once again to do another review, only this is not going to be a horror review. This is actually going to be a review for a film that I heard about from this new Facebook group I'm in called Beneath the Underground. And basically what that group is basically a group of independent directors are together and a group of reviewers who review their films. And I think it's a really good idea to have a group like this because there's so many independent directors out there, and they're always, putting all their effort and, all they've got into some of their films. And, some of them are seen by a lot of people, and some of them are hardly seen. So just to have a group just where independent directors can go and they can, just post their films, or they can post links to their films or whatever, and then have a large group of people review them and know about it, I think it's a really great idea. It really shows support for independent directors. I always show support for independent directors, because a lot of movies that I've seen that are very original and ones that I really enjoy are all independent films. And I really think that, it's a really good idea, just to have a whole group made up of them. And, like me, if I see a film that that might interest me, then I'll message the director and ask them, hey, you mind if I review your film? And so this is what I did, and the film that I'm going to be reviewing is directed by Jeff Wedding. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. But the film is called A Measure of the Sin. And as I've said, this is not a horror film. This is actually when I first started watching it, I thought it was going to be more of an artsy film. But I don't know if I really call it that. But basically the film is about a large group of women, and they actually live at a farm with this man. And the man in the movie is never named, and you are never fully explained why they're all there. But the whole film is narrated by a woman that's lived there her entire life. Ever since she was a little girl, she lived there with her mother. And she is basically telling a story that they're basically there just to survive whatever is happening in the world, and they're basically just all sheltered there at this farm. The man, he never has a name in the film, but he basically just, whenever a woman, says, hey, can I go outside or whatever, he basically just, basically says, yeah, you can, but you're not allowed to leave any further than where I tell you. And he does tell them to do different things. Like, at one point, he tells the main girl, whose name is Meredith, to go out with another girl and fetch water. And when I first started watching the movie, I thought it was going to be a religious film because in narration, she talks about how that they're doing it as a way of not paying for their sins, but doing something as a way of sort of giving back to God and to the earth. The film is not a full religious movie. I didn't get that. This is one movie where you can get a lot of different feelings towards it and a lot of different meanings to each scene. But basically, they just live there with him, and it goes back and forth. The main woman, whose name is Meredith, who's the one who's narrating, basically goes back and forth between her being as a little girl with her mother and then her as a grown adult. And as she's a little girl, her mother, she is a very loving mother, of course. You can see them together all the time. One thing that they enjoy doing together is dancing around naked. But then there's some points where you see the mother and she gets out a cigarette, and then the girl says, everything was fine, and then mother has gone dark again. And you could tell that the mother had probably had problems with alcohol in the past, or probably had problems with drugs or whatever. All the women actually had lives before this, before they went to go live with the man. And I would like to interpret that as they believed that they didn't like where they were living, so they decided to go live on the farm with this man, and they sort of look at him as perhaps their savior in a way, maybe. they don't look at him as godlike. You know, he's never referenced as God or whatever. He's only referenced as the man. So, like I said, I can be interpreting this right, or I can do it, or I can interpret this wrong. You know, that's one thing I really enjoyed about the film, is that, you know, there's no right or wrong answers. It's pretty much how you feel about it. But basically, yeah, they basically just lived there, and you know, there's you know, of course, the girl Meredith. There's her mother. Then there's I think 3 or 4 other women. Meredith usually does the talking to the man the most, and in a way, I kind of felt like that they should have been more of a you know, husband and wife type thing. But you know, one thing that's strange about her is that she keeps having this nightmare about this bear that comes into her room and basically attacks her. And it's never really fully explained exactly if the bear is real or not. But the man, of course, he tells her that she's just dreaming. Until one night, the bear actually gets on top of her and basically rapes her. And it's not a graphic scene or anything, but and then the man is there in the room and says, "Oh, well, you were just having a bad dream, you know, so you can go back to sleep." And the rest of the film is basically Meredith thinking that she has a baby that's half bear and half human living inside of her. And I think in a way she feels sinful for that, simply because it's half human, half animal. But she basically keeps talking about the bear, and she's the only one who can see it. Until one night, she's actually taking a bath. They all live in several rooms at a house, and in one of the rooms is a bedroom, and there's a little old tub there where they basically just bathe themselves. And there's 2 other women that are there, and one of the women tells her that she can also see the bear. Or no, she says that she dreams about the bear as well, and that she knows that it's there, but she never, you know, the bear never does anything to her, but of course does things to Meredith. So, you know, I think the bear is a symbol for something. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I have my own thoughts on it, but I really don't want to give a lot away. For when this movie is released, I would rather have someone else watch it and interpret it in a different way, because this is one movie that can be interpreted many different ways. But as I've said, they basically live there on the farm. They are allowed to go outside every once in a while, but that's only to maybe work on something outside, or like I said, get water for the tub, or you know, just any type of thing. But the only way for them to they always have to go out with somebody else, and only where the man tells them to. But yeah, as my own thoughts on the movie, I really did enjoy it. I think it's a really, really good film. I definitely recommend it. It's really different from a lot of other movies. Like I said, it's an independent film, but you know, it was shot on great, shot on video, so it's got a really great look to it. And the music's also really good too. The music does remind you of like, I'm gonna try and explain this. The music does sound like the type of music that you would hear in a movie with a bunch of people on a farm. You know, it's some of it's very peaceful, some of it's very fast with the piano. The scene when the bear comes in, the music is actually really, really creepy. And there's also one scene in which the mother of the girl, she's basically digging at the door in some way, like rubbing her hand on it, and the music is just like a kind of like a loud, like hitting noise, and it's really effective because you don't know what's about to happen or whatever, and it's really just the music just really gets you on the edge of your seat basically, because you're really not sure what exactly is going to happen. Because like I said, you don't really know exactly why all these women are there, and you don't know if the man is doing something really bad to them, or if they're just there because they're scared, because they're basically there just because they're scared. And there's even one point in the story where the woman Meredith actually talks about how that she's been thinking about escaping, and she knows that if one of the women was to escape, they would run away only to, a certain extent, but then they turn around and come back, because this is all that they remember, is living on this farm with a man. They may dream, about what happened to them before, but they've been there for so long, they don't even remember most of their own lives. And they basically just, that's all that they know. So if they were to go out into the world, they wouldn't understand what to do. Like, at one point when Meredith is having one of her flashbacks, it's her and her mother, and they just go outside and walk far away, and then they start digging into the ground. And Meredith really doesn't know what to do, so she just basically starts naming, random things, in outside, like in the dirt, like, dirt, roots, just random things, worms, just random things like that, and it's just things that her mother has taught her about the outside world, because that's one of the only connections that they have is, like, the older women, they know what they know about the outside world, but of course the little girl and some of the younger women, they don't really. So it's basically just whatever the older women tell them, and whatever the mother tells Meredith. But the film, about up to the middle, the movie's really not long. It's about an hour and 15 minutes, but once it gets closer to the end, Meredith finally decides to leave. And I think that that's pretty much like a really big step for her, because, like I said, her entire life has been built on that farm. And she finally decides to go out, and because she wants to live her own life and leave and have her baby. And I really don't want to give anything else away about the movie, but like I said, I had many similarities that I saw. Like I said, this movie can be interpreted in many different ways. So if you are to see the film, I definitely recommend going at it with an open mind. It's not a long film, so you're not there for a long time, and it keeps you at attention. And if you're gonna go see it, I would say just keep an open mind and try to think about everything you're seeing in the film. What different, like, symbols or different hints to certain things that may be happening and may not be, different meanings and feelings about meanings to the film. Because like I said, this movie ranges from a different thing. When I first saw the title of it, I thought it was going to be a religious movie, and in a way you could say it is, but another time it's really not. If that makes sense. It's really one of those movies that I definitely recommend sitting down and seeing. But like I said, this movie is not for everyone. It's an independent movie. It's kind of slow, but it does keep your attention. It's not really one movie that I've reviewed before. I'll give you that. So if you have seen if you know the type of movies that I watch, this is not like them. This is something very different, and that's why I really wanted to see it. But anyway, like I said, this movie was directed by Jeff Wedding. It is not yet released. I got a chance to see it. He showed me a copy of it. But if once it does get released, I'll definitely let anybody know who's interested in checking it out. I'll also leave the link down below to the Beneath the Underground Facebook page for anybody on there that sorry, still kind of got a cold. But if anybody that is watching this that it wants to watch some good independent films and start showing your support, I'll leave the link down below to the page. It's a closed group, so you'll have to you'll just have to send your request on it on Facebook if you want. But like I said, this is a really good idea. It's a great way for independent directors to show their work to people, and then have people review them. So I'll leave the link down below to that, and down to the normal Facebook page, so that even if you don't want to join the group, you can still just like the page. But anyway, guys, that was my review for Measure of the Sin. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I'm going to be doing a lot more videos. I'm going to start getting into more horror films, horror reviews, and I'm also going to be doing a video of all my horror movie collectibles. So stay tuned for that. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I'll see everybody later.